Okay, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Well, as you know, we're winding up the next few weeks. And, today, I just want to make sure everybody's ready for exam 3. And then comes Thanksgiving. And on the 13th of December is the final exam.
I have a question.
Sure.
So for the final exam, did you make this or did Dr. Adams make it from what, from the module?
Well, it's the same one from last year, actually. So it's Dr. Adams, but all of it is directly from what's in the scripts there. There's nothing outside of that. Or if we do find something that we haven't covered, I'll compensate for that.
Okay, and then I have a question as well. And I did read it in the syllabus, so I just want to make sure, but you are going to drop the lowest discussion grade, right? I think it's in the syllabus, and I think on Moodle, it's already set up to do that, but I missed the last discussion, so I just want to be sure, because I've done it for all the others, but.
Yeah, we're gonna drop the lowest 2 and the lowest 2 quiz scores.
Okay, thank you.
And that should make it a little more fair for anyone that missed. All right.
So the lowest 2 discussions and the lowest 2 quiz grades?
Yes.
Okay. Well, is it possible that you can just keep like all the discussion boards open until the end of the semester? Because like I know.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any particular thing that anybody's having a problem with or trouble with?
I think that one thing that maybe like you can improve on in the future would be just adding in the due dates. Like, I don't know how it is on your side, but adding them in so that way they show up on our agenda, just because that makes it easier on us. And like sometimes people can get confused, we have other classes, we have other assignments, and those actually show up. So we assume that, we don't have an assignment or that, it's not due anytime soon, when actuality, the assignment has closed and, there's no doing it.
I do understand that, and I certainly will try and correct that. I'll have more time the next time to get prepared. I kind of just jumped into it this time. Let's see. Okay, so exam 3 is going to basically cover module 3, which is, of course, evolutionary psychology, hormones in the brain, and memory in the brain. And there'll be 2 essay questions that you can choose from. There should be some examples in there. As everyone had a chance to find this review guide.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, and I just want to thumb through this to see if there are any problems. You really need to know difference between explicit and implicit memory, what a semantic memory is and what a personal memory is. And it's important to know those 3 case studies of, we know Henry M. pretty well. And there's Jimmy and there's Kent. And they all had different brain injuries. Henry M., of course, had his whole hippocampus removed, and therefore he lost all of his anterior grade memory.
I'm sorry, I have a quick question. So, I forgot which discussion it was, but it talked about case studies. The case studies were supposed to come from the textbook, correct?
Well, you're supposed to use the textbook, but as far as what you examined on, it is, like I say, in the scripts there.
But I mean, like
Mhm.
the discussion that talked about like the case, it was like the one on sexuality and stuff like that. So those specific case studies were supposed to be from the textbook, correct? Instead of, the case studies that you're providing for us for, other things.
Yeah, I believe you're correct that those specific ones were from the textbook.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Okay, but again, all the important facts are here in the modules. And let's see, I was saying there's Jimmy, there's Kent, and there's Henry M. And I think Jimmy's the one with the motorcycle injury. And he had damage to his hippocampus, but not the parahippocampus. And therefore he had a unique set of issues as far as memory goes. And the third person had Korsakov's, and Korsakov's mainly involves the thalamus. It's the only one of those injuries that did involve the medial thalamus. And I won't go through all the details of what the deficits are, but just make sure you understand what's going on there. Consolidation, of course, is when a memory is stored for long term. Initially, memory is kept for just a few hours, and then it's moved to where it is stored somewhere between the cortex and the hippocampus. And once it's there, it's consolidated and it can be retrieved. And clearly know the difference between anterior grade and retrograde amnesia. And that's actually pretty simple. Anterior grade is future memories, and retrograde is memories from the past that are lost. And if you're able to compare the case studies to what's happening there, then you're in good shape. That's basically as far as we're expecting you to go with this. Medial temporal lobe in memory. Again, it's just talking about hippocampus and the parahippocampal gyrus. Mammillary bodies, that's more associated with the thalamus and with a Korsakov's type lesion. Amygdala is classical conditioning, whereas the operant is muscle memory and procedural memory. And along with consolidation comes reconsolidation, which is retrieving memories that have been forgotten and strengthening them by basically association. Okay, this is mostly general information here. long-term potentiation, have a understanding of what that is and how it works. And basically it's restructuring of the dendrites where they become larger and therefore more powerful and able to store memories more effectively. Natural selection. It's important to have a general understanding of how we evolved and got to the place where we are now. I think where we mostly differ from lower species is that we've learned to cooperate with each other and learn to build communities, which has been the major human strength there. So there will definitely be a general question on the exam regarding that. Natural selection. There really won't be a lot of detailed stuff, but there are just certain things that everyone should know, such as we are a member of the Homo sapiens, which came to rise 100 to 200,000 years ago, somewhere in Africa. And we have continued to adapt and evolve since that time. Of course, there's a lot of things that haven't really been totally answered there, but that's one of the things that's factually based. One thing I found that was interesting was about the hobbit, which is another subspecies or species of human that is very small in size and was native to somewhere in Indonesia, but they have found evidence of that society existing about 10,000 years ago. But I'm sure they'll find other things, and there'll probably be some readjustment and changes in the future of what our knowledge base is. Sexual selection. Let's understand the difference of monogamy and polygamy and polyandry. And there definitely will be a question about our society, which basically is monogamous, but there are some that accept polygamy as a second option, but that's usually only available to the rich. Or in other countries where the culture accepts that. And that's basically what we do as human beings, whatever the culture dictates and whatever resources we have. Polyandry is, of course, several males to every female, which is not something that's commonly practiced. Altruism is another, I guess, virtue that has helped the advance of mankind. And altruism basically is being willing to sacrifice for the sake of one's brother and for the advancement of everyone. and being willing to pay your fair share and not allow others to do excessive work or whatever when you should be doing it. Okay, there were a few other things I wanted to make sure that you do cover in your studies. There will be a couple of questions on sleep and sleep studies, and again, not a lot of detail, but just understanding that sleep study is performed with an EEG machine, and it measures the 4 stages of sleep. And you want to know the physiological response in each stage, whether the respiration rate and heart rate are elevated or whether they're affected at all. Again, just general stuff, what the body is going through during those stages. Sexual orientation in males and females. It's important to know the effect that testosterone has on the fetus and how it determines whether fetus will be a male or female. And there, of course, is another gene on the Y chromosome there that also dictates what sex a baby is going to be. You want to know that the hypothalamus is also important in that process there. As far as genes, we want to have a general idea of how genes influence human behavior. And the key there is it's a polygenic thing, not like an autosomal dominant type thing, but there are several genes involved, and that's where heredity does play a role. But of course, that's not totally mapped out, but it is important to know that genes are important. That's why a family history is so important when you're involved with people in a clinical situation. Again, I would stress that you just know the summarization of those 3 case studies. And if you do, then you can pretty much answer any question that comes up. And basically, I have covered everything that you can expect to see on the exam. But again, I reiterate that you study the scripts there. The test questions pretty much come directly from that. And test questions, again, are just making sure you understand the principle of things and not so much the minute details. And this exam won't be any different than the last ones. You'll get 2 chances to take it, and we'll use the highest score. I think it's 19 questions. And the essay questions, you'll have plenty of time to do those afterward. Any questions? Okay, the exam will be available Friday at 1, and it'll be open all day. And I think the following week will be Thanksgiving. So we won't meet that week. Actually, I think the next time will be like the 1st of December, first Wednesday. Anyone know anything different from that?
No, I think that's correct. And the first Wednesday in December actually is December 1st. So,
Okay, yeah, well, that'll be the next meeting then. I'll take your silence to mean that everything is okay. And just study hard, you'll do well. And if you need to get in touch with me, just send me an email and I'll try to get right back with you. Okay. All right, y'all have a good afternoon.
Thank you, you too, bye.